Hi, I'm Jody Underhill with Upside Down Iceberg. I recently returned from a trip to Monmouth County, New Jersey. And while I was there, I went to do a presentation. And after the presentation, it was an all-day event, I was invited to go to the local Chamber of Commerce networking event. So I went there and it was meeting people that I'd never met. Obviously, I live in Florida, so I knew absolutely no one in Monmouth County, New Jersey. And while I was there, there were a couple of people who had been at the event all day that I'd met. And I was talking with one of them. She was a real estate agent, and she asked me a couple of other questions about some of the things I'd said whenever I was on stage. And I went around meeting people, and I got like 3 or 4 business cards during the course of the time, which I wasn't actually even trying to collect business cards because what am I really going to do with them, right? So I was there talking with someone. This real estate agent lady comes over. She goes, "Jody, I have someone you have got to meet, and I would like you to share with him what it is that you do." So I was like, okay, great, Pat. I'll be more than happy to go speak to him. I mean, because after all, when someone takes you to meet someone, they're excited about it, and they want to share with them what they heard at the event because they weren't able to be there, right? So I go over, and this guy happens to be one of the most well-known plastic surgeons in the area. It was him and his wife. And she goes, "Robert, this is Jody. He did an excellent talk on social media and local marketing and how to get more people into your practice. So I wanted to bring him over. Jody, tell him what you can do." Well, most people would just start telling them what they could do. That's not what you do in order to make a lasting impact. What I did, and I had a couple of people there that were watching me do this, I started just asking him questions. I was like, "Robert, before I kind of tell you what it is I do, is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions?" He goes, "Sure." I was like, "So tell me about you're a plastic surgeon here locally?" "Oh yes, I'm here in Monmouth County and I've been here for so many years." I'm like, "Okay, great. And you have a website?" "Yeah, I have a website." "That's cool. And do you have any videos or anything that you have out there about helping people?" "Well, we have some videos on our website." I was like, "Okay." And so I went through and asked him these questions. I said, "Well, those videos, what kind of videos are they?" "Oh, well, there are videos about our practice and how long we've been in business, and there's a couple of testimonials." I was like, "That's great, absolutely great." And his wife spoke up and says, "Well, we also have some tutorial videos about different plastic surgery procedures." I was like, "Okay, and where are those?" And she said, "Well, they're on our website." I was like, "You know what, that's absolutely fabulous. Here's the thing, by having those videos, as great as they are, and having them on your website, that's really only one place for those videos to be found. Robert, can I ask you a question?" He's like, "Sure." So do you think that possibly whenever there are people that come in and ask you questions that you have to answer over and over again? It's like, "Well, sure, absolutely." I was like, "Okay, well, do you think there's some questions maybe that they should be asking you that they may not know to ask?" "Yeah." "So do you think it would be beneficial if you had videos like that scattered across the internet so that people could find that?" He said, "Well, I see there's a lot of other plastic surgeons out there that have all these videos. How is mine going to be any different than theirs?" I was like, "Well, what you can do to differentiate yourself is position yourself as an expert, and do that instead of talking about yourself and your practice. Do that by talking about the information that people would love to know before they come to see you. Answer their questions about scarring when it comes to plastic surgery, or what are the different things that they need to be looking for or thinking about whenever they're interviewing a plastic surgeon. In other words, give them value so that whether they choose to do business with you or not, they're glad that they saw it." He's like, "Wow, that would be really interesting. So do I need to hire like a videographer to come in and do that?" It's like, "Well, you could obviously do that, and it would probably be very good videos." The thing is, sometimes videographers, although they can do great videos, don't understand really the intricacies in distributing those videos across the internet. So you would need to make sure that they do that. So it sounds to me like you probably would need is someone that does what I do, which is social media marketing, and that's making the videos that are great and good enough to have on YouTube and Vimeo and Vidler and the video sharing sites, but can also take that and tie it in and utilize that content for Facebook and Twitter so that when people see that, they come to your website already ready to take an action, like to pick up the phone and call you or to contact you via a contact form. Does that sound like something that might be useful? It's like, absolutely. Well, how can I talk to you about this? Boom. I had him. I never sold him anything. I never explained anything about what I do. I simply asked him questions. Now, like I said, he was very defensive to begin with because here was this person who he obviously know, like, and trust, but they were bringing someone to sell him something. So he was on the defensive. But just by asking some questions, he lowered those defenses and became interested because I was interested in him and helping him paint that picture. Now, I didn't set the appointment. I gave him the card of someone in that local area that does the same thing. Said, here's a person that will absolutely be able to help you with that information. I'll have them give you a call. Now let me ask you something, Robert. Is there any reason for them not to expect that you'll take their call whenever they call? He's like, no, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Great. So whenever they come in, you'll be ready to talk to them about exactly what we've discussed? Yes. Great. Have a wonderful evening. It was very nice meeting you. And I went on to the next person. But that's just a quick example of how the power of questions at a networking event, you don't have to go in trying to sell anybody anything, but that's a real life example. There were two people there that are in this same business that took those lessons away, and it was like, I'd always heard you talk about it, but I'd never seen it in action. They wish they had it taped. So that's why I did this video, because those were exactly the questions that I asked, exactly his answers back to me and his wife, and so that they both were nodding their heads, wanting to meet with someone to help them get exposure for their practice. So there you go. Take that out, utilize it. You'll be surprised how quickly you build your client list. I'm Jody Underhill with Upside Down Iceberg. Until next time, great marketing.